Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on February the 19th, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, as usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of our data, we just had ZEW economic sentiment, which came in negative here. The wage index for Australia came in as expected. And then coming up on Wednesday here, we do have some important news here. So first of all, starting off with British pound here, we have CPI numbers, which are the inflation numbers. So these are the yearly numbers coming out for UK. And as the forecast is, it's at 1.6%. Now, if the CPI numbers are below expectations, that will be negative for British pound, because then market will start looking at Bank of England to potentially cut rates or do some sort of monetary policy adjustment here. So at this point, we'll have to see how these come up, but CPI or inflation numbers are one of the numbers that the central bankers watch. So this is a very important number. And if it comes in below expectations, we could see British pound drop as a result. And we have the same CPI numbers here for Canada as well. These are the monthly numbers here. As well, we have the yearly numbers coming out. So same thing here, if they come in below expectations, we could see the Canadian dollar drop, because then again, the focus will be on Bank of Canada to potentially cut rates. And in the afternoon here, an important day for the US here, or US dollar, I should say, we have FOMC meeting minutes coming up tomorrow. Now, with the FOMC meeting minutes, the important thing to keep in mind would be what the Fed reaction is to overall coronavirus situation, and also what are they expecting in terms of the economic impact of the coronavirus. And because we have seen that the Chinese economy is really just coming to a standstill, sort of to a standstill, because of the different provinces that are getting shut down and the factories that are closed at the moment while they're dealing with this issue and the spread of the virus. So all of that is negative for the economy. And if the Fed is concerned, they had expressed concerns about that previously. So if they are concerned, and if they are willing to take any steps in this regard, or if the Fed talks about potentially looking at cutting rates, all of that would be considered dovish and will be negative for the US dollar. On the other hand, if they think that this is a small issue that will blow over and it will not have much of an economic impact, that would be good, and we could see US dollar go up as a result. But we could expect to see some volatility around the US dollar when the FOMC meeting minutes come out. So keep an eye on that if you're trading the US dollar here. And then we have employment numbers out of Australia. The wage index numbers came in as expected. Now, with the employment numbers, we are looking for a drop. But if the drop is bigger than what is expected here, then we could see a negative impact on Australian dollar. So with Australian economy, it is impacted directly by the Chinese economy, as well as we have seen fires, and there was a lot of devastation as a result of that. So we'll have to see how the employment numbers come out. If they are below expectations, expect a negative impact on Australian dollar, and it is likely to drop. So let's go on to our charts here. We'll start off with our euro dollar. And we were looking for a drop yesterday. We got that. Now, bias is still bearish here, but keep in mind that we are again into these levels that have not been seen for quite some time. So keep that in view, because we could see pullbacks and stuff, but bias is bearish. Next target here is 1.0720. And then below that, we are looking at 1.0680. So bias here is bearish for euro dollar, and first target is 1.0720, then 1.0680. Pound dollar here, this one dropped yesterday, but now we have an indecision candle. It's still holding below this previous level of 1.3065. So overall bias is still to the downside a bit here, but it is not a solid downtrend candle here. So just keep that in mind, which means that things can prices into support, so it can reverse from here, especially if we get more comments in regards to the budget that's coming out. Today we saw that there was an announcement in regards to the budget that will be released on March 11th, I believe, and because of that, again, the positive sentiment was created for British pound. Because like we have discussed before, UK finance minister had stepped down, and now we have a new person in his place who is more willing to basically go with an expansionary fiscal policy, and they're looking to spend more money, and all of that is positive, because more money that goes into the economy, the better it is for the economy, or so it's supposed to be. So in keeping that in mind, if we hear any more comments in regards to that, this could turn. It is into support, so watch out for this 1.2970 level. If price holds above this level, it can go higher. So that would be the caution here. If it holds above, it can again go back to test the high and even try to go higher. But as long as it holds below 1.3070, we are still biased to the downside. So if it breaks through 1.2970, I will look for a further drop here. 1.2875 will be the target here. So bias for now is bearish, neutral to bearish here. And once we see the break, I'm looking for price to come and test this lower level here at 1.2875. Aussie dollar here, yesterday we were looking for a drop, we got that. Today we do have a bearish candle close, so looking for price to go further into 0.6660. That's the first target, and the second target is 0.6600. So bias is bearish here for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar, same thing. We were looking for a drop. We have that. Now we do have a nice bearish candle close here. So looking for a further drop here. Watch out for pullback into 0.6410 level, or potentially even into the 20 level here, and then looking for a further drop here. So bias is bearish once we see a break through the support. So as we can see, prices into support, so do keep an eye on that. Once we see a move through that, looking for it to go lower into 0.6320 and then potentially into 0.6250. So bias here is bearish for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, we saw price bounce off of this level. It is into resistance at this point, so bias is bullish here. But the concern with this one, I would be cautious with this one, because it could just be a pullback for a further drop. So that's something that we need to be cautious about. On the other hand, if it goes through the high or through 1.3270, then we're likely to see a further move to the upside. So at this point, bias is bullish, but with caution here, because if it holds below 1.3270, it could just as easily come down to 1.3220. So for now, bias is bullish, but with caution. All right, so let's take a look at commodities now. Silver, big day for silver. We have a nice big bullish candle close. Price has gone through this resistance, so still looking bullish here. And in terms of the target here, first target is 18.33 and then 18.4 or 18.50 as the second target. So bias here is bullish for silver. Gold here, nice big bullish day for gold as well. And we see that price has gone through this resistance. So bias here is bullish. And in terms of our target, this is the type of move I would look out for. So bullish bias here, our target is 1611. And then beyond that, we are into, again, into levels that we haven't seen for some time. So that would be, okay, so 1611 and then 1620 will be the second target. So bias is bullish for gold. And then oil here, still struggling with this resistance here, but it's holding below the resistance. And as long as it stays below the resistance, bias is still to the downside. So I would look for 50.80 as the target, first target. And if it goes through that level, then we're looking at 49.50. So right now the bias is still bearish. But if it breaks through the resistance, because it's holding very close to the resistance, if it breaks through, then it could go all the way to the other side. Then we are looking at a bullish move higher. For now, though, it's bearish, again with caution, but if it goes through the resistance, we're looking at 54.40 as the next target. Copper here, this is looking bearish. Price came into this resistance level and has bounced off of that. So bearish bias here, next target is 2.54. Bitcoin here bounced up, so looking bullish again. And next target here, so I would look for a pullback towards 99.50 potentially, and then a further move to the upside. Target is 10,480, so bullish bias here for Bitcoin. All right, S&P 500 here. This one, so the equity markets have been interesting here. The concerns around coronavirus resurfaced, so we did see a drop in the equities. However, they have pulled back. So what I'm looking for here is how would it react to 3380 level? If it holds below the 3380, then I'm looking for a drop here. So bias is bearish, but again with caution, because the equity markets have been super strong and they have been disregarding every sort of bad news. Doesn't matter, they're just going up. So when the sentiment is that strong, they can really go quite a ways and disregard everything essentially. So just be careful if you're trading equities. And if the equities start to go up, then we know our safe haven assets would drop. So gold and silver are likely to drop in that scenario, and all the yen crosses are likely to go up, as well as the Swiss franc crosses. So for now, bias is bearish. 3350 is the first target and 3320 is the second target. But like I said, if it goes through 3380, then I will look for a move all the way into 3400. But for now, the bias is bearish for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, this one is actually bullish. It moved all the way to the upside here. So bias is bullish here. And with this one, we have to look at the high. If it holds below 96.80, then I will look for a drop. Otherwise, we are looking at 97.50 here as the next target. So for now, bias is bullish, and we just have to see how it reacts to the high. If it holds below, like I said, I will look for a drop, potentially back towards 9,500. But if it goes through, we're looking at 97.50 or 97.80 as the next target for NASDAQ. Dow Jones here, this one actually dropped. We do have a bearish candle close and bias is still bearish here. Next target is 28,900. So bias is bearish for Dow Jones. And then DAX here, DAX has dropped. We have a neutral candle close here, but it is below the previous high here. Now, this one has been going sideways for the last little while. So bias here is bearish, but keep in mind, if it holds above 13,620, then this one is likely to go back up. So just be mindful of how price reacts into the support resistance level. If it holds above 13,620, we are looking for a move higher. However, if it breaks through here, then I would look for a move all the way into 13,380. So for now, bias is bearish to neutral. And then we have Footsie here. Footsie dropped, but then like all the equity indices we talked about, it has pulled back up. So we have a neutral candle close here. We have pins on both sides, small candle body, it's a spinning top. So neutral candle close at this point. This one could go in either direction. And if it drops, I'm looking for 73.40 here. But if it holds above today's high, we could see it reverse direction. So bias for now is neutral for Footsie. And last but not least, we have Nikkei here. Nikkei candle close is bearish, but looks like it opened higher here. So at this point, bias still is to the downside. And the question will be, does it hold above today's low? If it holds above today's low here, then we could see it go all the way back towards or higher here. But if it holds, if it goes through today's low, then this one is likely to go lower. So the level that I would watch for Nikkei would be 23,400. If it holds below, I'm looking for a further move to the downside here. And in that case, the first target would be today's low. So in this case, first target is 23,100. And if it drops below that, we're looking at 22,920. So bearish bias, but because it opened higher, things can turn and we could see it go higher. So if it goes through 23,400, chances are very high that it will go all the way into 23,580. So keep an eye on this level here. So that's it for today. Guys, have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.